Listen. Close your eyes and listen to the wind. If you hear a rhythmic, pulsating vibration just beneath the frequency of a human sob, do not open your eyes, because once you hear it, the countdown has already begun. They told you it was a fairy tale. They told you it was just the imagination of drunkards in the Irish mist. They lied. In 1994, a clandestine sonic research team in County Kerry picked up a signal. It wasn't a radio wave. It wasn't a whale song. It was a 110 decibel acoustic burst that mimicked the exact frequency of a mother losing her child, yet it possessed a mathematical precision that no human vocal cord could ever achieve. 3 minutes later, the lead researcher's heart simply stopped. No disease, no trauma, just a biological system that had been unplugged by a sound. We call her the Banshee, the Beansida, the woman of the mound. But the records held in the private archives of the Vatican and the suppressed annals of the British Occult Office tell a much darker story. She isn't a spirit, she isn't a ghost, she is something older. A remnant of a pre-deluge civilization that doesn't just predict death, she catalyzes it. Most think she's a myth to explain away tragedy. But what if I told you that for centuries, certain elite families have lived in absolute terror of a specific genetic marker, a marker that acts like a beacon for these unseen beings? The records were scrubbed for a reason. If the public knew that a certain frequency could be tuned to their specific DNA, the world would descend into chaos. Let's look at the evidence they don't want you to see. In the winter of 1847, during the height of the Great Famine, reports surfaced of gray women appearing not just at the bedside of the dying, but inside the locked rooms of the healthy. Local witnesses were too afraid to speak to the authorities, but journals found in the ruins of a monastery in Skellig Michael described something horrifying. The monks didn't describe a woman, they described a discontinuity in the air. A shimmering, translucent entity with eyes that glowed with the dull red of dying embers. They called it the Auditor of Souls. But here is where it gets clinical. In the late 1960s, a fringe biologist named Dr. Eris Thorne proposed that the Banshee's wail wasn't a sound at all, but a form of infrasonic resonance. He theorized that these beings exist in a state of quantum superposition. They are here and they are not here. When they wail, they are actually syncing their molecular vibration with our reality. Thorne's laboratory was burned to the ground 2 weeks after he submitted his findings. His name has been scrubbed from every academic journal. But his final notes contained a chilling observation. She doesn't cry because you are going to die. You die because she has finally found you. Why the cover-up? Why would they go to such lengths to hide the existence of a folklore entity? Because the Banshee is the ultimate proof of the predator theory. There is a suppressed truth that the world's shadow governments have known since the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. We are not the top of the food chain. There are entities that feed on the transition of energy, the precise moment a soul uncouples from the physical body. The wail is nothing more than a dinner bell. Think about it. Why do the oldest families in Europe, the ones who hold the true power, have Banshee protocols? Why are their estates built with specific acoustic dampening materials? They aren't hiding from ghosts, they are hiding from harvesters. What they found in the scrubbed records of the 1920s Irish Civil War changed everything. Soldiers reported seeing a woman with long silver hair washing blood-stained uniforms in the rivers. But the uniforms weren't from the past, they were modern, Kevlar, camouflage. She was washing the blood of soldiers who hadn't even been born yet. She exists outside of linear time. She is the glitch in our simulation that reminds us, your end is already written. You think this is ancient history? Think again. In 2021, a series of doorbell camera videos from the suburbs of Ohio went viral before being systematically purged from the internet. They showed the same thing. A tall, unnaturally thin figure in a gray veil standing motionless on a lawn. No sound was captured on the digital audio, but every dog in a 3-block radius died of a ruptured eardrum that night. And then there's the Appalachian silence. Locals in the deep woods of West Virginia talk about the lamenting lady, They don't call her a banshee, they've forgotten the name, but they know the rules. If you hear a woman sobbing in the hollow, you don't go out to help. You lock your doors, you put salt on the threshold, and you pray that you aren't the one she's singing for. We managed to track down an eyewitness who claims to have seen her face. He described it not as a face, but as a reflection of his own corpse. He died 3 days after our interview. The cause? Sudden arrhythmia. The truth is, the Banshee isn't a monster. She is a biological certainty. She is the universe's way of balancing the books. And as our world becomes louder, more chaotic, and more disconnected, they say the wails are getting more frequent. Some believe we are approaching a global acoustic event, a scream so loud, so pervasive, that it won't just take one life, it will harvest a generation. If you start noticing a faint metallic taste in your mouth, if your mirrors seem to ripple when you walk past, or if you hear a woman's voice whispering a name that sounds suspiciously like your own, it's already too late. The records were scrubbed because there is no cure. There is no escape. They say she only appears to those of a certain bloodline. So I have to ask you, do you know who your ancestors really were? And more importantly, what is that sound coming from right outside your window?